Okay, so aware that Sangha Festival was coming up, I thought, well, want to try and say something about Sangha. And what it reminded, or where my mind went, was just the kind of recognition that there was a time when we had, from the tradition, where the historical Buddha was present amongst the community. But then at some point, of course, being human, he died. And so there's a question arose, well, how, when the Buddha is no longer present, and yet we say we're going for refuge to the Buddha, so what are we in relationship to? What is it that we are going for refuge to? And in a way I thought, well, that question arises alongside Sangha. Not to say we're all dead, but we are definitely in transition. And yet there is something that kind of perpetuates or continues through this kind of collective, this shared experience of Sangha, of community. Now I realise what I haven't done is delegate somebody to actually press the slide button. So do you...
Which button is it?
This is... Okay, so it's... yeah, hopefully, yeah. So just... I'll give you a nod if you could... Okay, so let's have a look at the first slide. Okay, so this is quite a lot of information. I just want to give you a bit of information about the kind of well, as I introduced us to, what we have, the Trikaya doctrine came out of the arising of kind of thought of how can we really stay in connection to the Buddha, and what is the actual nature of when we talk about the Buddha, what do we really mean? And so there was this structure, this vision was created where the Buddha was seen to have three different manifestations, three different ways of appearing in the experience of practitioners, of the followers of the Buddha. So I'm going to start at the bottom. So the first, and what I'm going to do, this is the kind of abstract, if you like. This is the kind of structure that I'll be working with, and then I'm going to look at these each in detail and try to link it back to our own experience of Sangha. But just to start with this kind of basic, the traditional formulation of the Trikaya, the three bodies or the three manifestations of Buddhahood. So the Dharmakaya is the kind of at the ground of the experience of the Buddha. So this is equating the Buddha with the truth or reality, the reality that he communicated through his manifestation. But the ground of Buddhahood is this, is the Dharmakaya, the truth body as it's described. I'll say more about this in a moment. Then out of that truth body, or that manifestation of truth, we have at the top, it's called the Nirmanakaya. So this is the historical manifestation. This is the body of the Buddha manifesting in time and space. This is our realm. This realm is very much the Nirmanakaya. So he did, this being did manifest in a form which then allowed the expression of the Dharmakaya to move through him for the benefit of all beings. And then we have this very interesting intermediate state called the Sambhogakaya. So the Sambhoga, traditionally, Sambhogakaya is the realm of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas manifesting in the emotional realm, where practitioners seeking or maintaining connection to the manifestation of the Buddha through their imagination, through their knowing of that connection to the Nirmanakaya, they started to understand that manifestation in many different ways. And this is symbolized or described as the body of mutual enjoyment, where there's the sense of being here, but also through this emotional realm, one is connected to this whole display or manifestation of the different qualities of the Buddha arising out of the Dharmakaya. Now, probably this is all a bit vague and woolly at the moment, but I'm hoping as we go through the talk I can show you a bit more about or describe it in a bit more fullness. So what is this slide doing here? Right, yes. I know. This slide. It's just to remind us, yes, the Trikaya is an indivisible whole. So although we're talking about these three aspects, these three elements, actually it is indivisible, hence the enclosing sphere. So we have the Nirmanakaya is the sense of the historical sense of the Buddha manifesting in the world, expressing wisdom and compassion for the benefit of all beings. Then at the other end, we have the Dharmakaya, this realm of potentiality, and this the image there is actually of a silvered sphere. It's the mirror-like wisdom when it's constantly allowing clear flow of appearances to come and go, manifesting this potentiality of Buddhahood, this potentiality of truth to manifest into our experience of this moment, here and now. In between them sits the rainbow body of the Buddhas. So I really love this aspect of the expression or the manifestation of the Buddha. This is the rainbow body in that it's said that there is like light coming through from the Dharmakaya explodes into this manifestation of infinite forms and expressed here in the image of Padmasambhava, the rainbow body of this particular, semi-mythical, but also an historical figure from Tibet, medieval Tibet. So these are the three things, and just really want to emphasize that although we talk about them from these different levels, it's actually, they are indivisible in our own experience and in reality. So I'm going to go through each of the different realms, but just kind of give you a bit of a fuller narrative around the different terms, and then I'm going to talk about the Dharmakaya, and then I'm going to talk about how that Dharmakaya, how we might feel it or know it within Sangha. So the Dharmakaya has these three different ways of describing it. Sometimes it's called the Dharma body, or the reality body, or the truth body. And the associated concepts with the Dharmakaya. So we've probably all heard of non-duality. But the other terms which I also like, so a term is that in our deepest nature there is this original purity. This is the aspect of the Dharmakaya, which is the kind of the root the essence of being is actually always in touch with the Dharmakaya. There's this kind of ground out of which all appearances are arising, which is why it's also called the womb of all the Buddhas. So I love that. I just love this kind of sense of this potential, this birthing process, which is constantly flowing out of the potentiality of the Dharmakaya. It's sometimes connected to awareness itself, and it's definitely also seen to describe the open, luminous state of mind at its most essential nature. So this Dharma body, well, the way we're kind of describing, or the way that it's to be understood, is that it's actually the kind of the substratum, the baseline of all experience. Everything that we have that manifests arises here out of this potentiality of the Dharmakaya. And it's important to kind of stress that, like everything, like all things, it has is without essential essence. So it's not like there is the Dharmakaya as a separate object out of which we're in relationship to. We are intimately interwoven with the Dharmakaya here and now. And this is why this famous kind of term, shunyata, is kind of expressed for the quality of all existence. Yes, it's essentially empty, and yet it is manifesting perpetually into form. So this is the paradox, or the kind of the mystery really of the Dharmakaya, of which we are, as I say, we are utterly interwoven with. Oh, that's a bit hard to read. So, where is the Dharmakaya in our own experience of Sangha? So this is a question I kind of thought, well, how am I going to kind of take it out of the abstract realm and bring it down into our actual lived experience? So I thought the first thing to recognise, or to invite you to recognise, that we talk about awareness a lot in meditation practice, but more generally in our kind of practice of the precepts. So, but when we think about, or when we try to sort of pin down awareness, we recognise that actually awareness is not something that we have ownership of. It's something that we participate in. It's something that we live out of on a good day. So we are living out of something which is not with any constraint of our own being. And just to extrapolate a bit further, when we actually talk about our own being, even when we're sitting and really exploring that experience, we recognise, hopefully, on a good day again, we recognise that there is no boundary to this thing which we describe as me, you. That boundary is always provisional. It's always something that is fluid and moving in dependence on our, well, primarily on awareness itself. But we can recognise that within us there is something really luminous and clear. Just a moment. So there is something really luminous and clear that is, as I say, mirror-like. It's kind of seeing things just as they are without trying to kind of manipulate it in any way. Another question.
What does kaya mean?
Sorry?
What does kaya mean?
So kaya is simply, it means form or body. So the Trikaya means the three bodies. So it's the way things manifest.
What does rupa mean again?
So rupa means form. So it's a sort of more technical. It's similar. It's more technical. That rupa is a particular aspect of manifestation. Kaya is really pointing to a kind of the way we receive or perceive these different aspects of. So it's a way of knowing an experience, the way of knowing, in this case, the Buddha. But we're talking, it's actually the way we can know Sangha in this case. So let's just taking a cue from my Trijoti. It might be just good to just, I kind of said all this stuff, and we just now want to sort of try and ground it back down into our experience. So I'm going to invite you just to just take a couple of minutes just to settle into your experience as it is. So you can have your eyes open or closed. The main thing is simply to draw your attention inwards. So as we come into our experience, we may find mental activity. We may find areas of the body with a sense of grip and tightness, and other areas where there's ease, relaxation. In terms of the Dharmakaya, where is that in our experience? So there is a knowing within experience. So there is a sense of a space between, amongst arising and passing sensations. You may notice that sensations arise and pass out of what we might describe as a sense of a luminous open space. So there's just space, and then there's this blossoming into sensation. The sounds, the sensations arise out of that luminous space. And dissolve back into that open space. This open space of luminous awareness is not mine, is not yours. It's something we participate in. It's that which gives rise to all appearances. We are united through Dharmakaya. This is our shared ground. When you're ready, just letting go of that short reflection, and we'll carry on and say a bit more. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to say a little bit now about the Sambhogakaya. So we have Sambhogakaya, this intermediate knowing of the Buddha. And I thought one of the stories that I thought might be worth sharing is that there was, unfortunately, I should have probably brought the original text along, the sutra along, but I didn't, so just have to wing it. So, unusually for me. So what we have is a person who was very sick and couldn't come to see the Buddha. And the question was given to the sick man whether he, how did he feel the connection to the Buddha? And what he replied was that he felt he was always with the Buddha. He was never separate from the Buddha. And how did he manifest that? How did he kind of experience that? It was through this realm of experience, this emotional realm of connection, where we just feel, we kind of know something of this essential quality of the Buddha. But it's also recognizing that the Dharmakaya is constantly renewing itself, constantly revealing reality through words, through signs, through actions. This is, in a way, we could say that the Buddha is one expression of the Dharmakaya through which we connect to this deepest level of being, reality itself. But for the sick man, it was the kind of manifestation through the Buddha that he came to kind of meet in this realm of the Sambhogakaya. And it's said that, again, we need to recognize that the Sambhogakaya, it is without inherent existence again. It's always arising out of shunyata, like a rainbow. There's multiple layers of meaning and manifestation. So if we go forward, please. Oh, it's got missed out a bit. Anyway, there you are. That's my slide construction. So what it says here, so our seeing and our expression of being is completely unique. So each one of us will know the Sambhogakaya completely uniquely. So we have this rainbow vision that each one of us is seeing this moment here and now completely uniquely. And the Buddha or the Dharmakaya is expressing itself uniquely through and with us. So it's very much this dance between this the potentiality of the Dharmakaya and how it's manifesting in this moment. And I was particularly pleased to have found this photograph just because there's something about the innocence of the child, this kind of open, curious state which allows the knowing to both be expressed, but also the knowing of how we each perceive meaning and the Dharmakaya here and now. That's even more difficult. So again, where is the Sambhogakaya in our own experience? This is, it's crucial that I'm not interested in kind of just giving you theories. I'm really trying to ground this Trikaya teaching into our actual experience. So if we take the Sambhogakaya being an in-between state, in between the kind of arising reality, always constantly renewing and arising, and something quite kind of solid, concrete, the Nirmanakaya. The Sambhogakaya, we can feel it more fully maybe through meditation, through the dream state, but also in the natural world. There's a kind of something becomes visible to us, something which is communicates truth, communicates something really important for us in our own unique quest, and it's constantly arising through and between us. So for me, this is why Sangha is such a potent jewel, that it can often be, or it usually is, actually an exchange between two or more people, that something new arises in that space within the communication, that something arises in this, sometimes called the liminal space, between the meeting, in amongst the meeting. And there's something of that which I find deeply kind of enjoyable and satisfying. I've no idea what you're thinking, I've no idea what you're how you are, but I trust that if I can just kind of do my best to communicate something of myself, and you try to communicate something of yourself, then that dance will bring meaning, bring deeper meaning for us collectively as a Sangha. And it doesn't even need to be in words. I mean, we were meditating earlier in the shrine room, and there's something about that collective shared experience of simply sitting together, which is another way that we might get the sense of this Sambhogakaya, this imaginal connection with each other, actually felt in the body, through the body. And I think for me, the way that is accessed is actually what is described sometimes as presence. So this is when we are have this sense of the complete flow through our body, from the earth to the sky, and yet we have that sense of the kind of the fullness of our embodied experience. This in connection to our imaginative faculty. So we know our body, we know the kind of direct immediacy of the physical experience, and we're in connection through that with the imaginal, with this ever-renewing kind of dance between us, amongst us. So the Dharmakaya, I would say, is longing to manifest. It wants to manifest. It's in us all. We have this, we all carry the womb of the Buddha. This is the kind of where we, at our deepest core level, there is something trying to live through us. And we recognise that as a calling, as a longing to really own who we really are in our fullness. And that is part of something trying to break through our limited sense of self, our kind of reductive sense of self. Okay. Oh, you just go back one. Look at that. God.
What is
So-
it?
So what I think what this kind of talks to me of is this sense that the Dharmakaya is this kind of source, and it just explodes. It's constantly kind of dancing and burning, even rolling into and out of being through us, through Sangha. There's this sense that each one of us, in our essential nature and in our kind of longing to express who we are, is creating this kind of ongoing dance of the Sambhogakaya. And our responsibility, our practice of going for refuge is very much the practice of discovering what it is that wants to live through us. Trying to kind of get a real bring a sensitivity to that, a deep knowing of something that is really alive in us that wants to live. So this is, to me, an expression of this dance, this kind of Sangha. It is this ever-changing, ever-fluid movement of manifestation of the truth body of the Dharmakaya. Okay. So coming back down to the kind of the abstract, the Nirmanakaya. So this is it. This is where an aspect of ourselves is this, this embodied physical sense. The Nirmanakaya, historically, was this, in terms of the Buddha, when we talk about the Buddha, was located in time and space, interacted through a particular historical period, and it's what we see in the Nirmanakaya, this kind of particular form of the Buddha, is actually his capacity to reach out or through the Dharmakaya, that something naturally flows, is responsive to whatever is met in time and space. And there's a trust there that there is that, because of that connection to the Dharmakaya, to that deep essential essence of being, that wisdom and compassion can manifest. This potentiality of the Dharmakaya has to, or seeks to, find form, find actual manifestation. And we could say that our going for refuge is essentially the longing to manifest the Dharmakaya in our own life. This is really what we are working towards. So, again, trying to get a sense of where is the Nirmanakaya now in our own experience of Sangha. So I do think it's crucial that we do actually, when we're meditating, when we are kind of with ourselves, when we're in that more reflective state, to just discover what is it that is pressing to the fore. There's usually something that is wanting to come alive in us, wanting to live in us. And we can tend to, if we're kind of limited in our perspective, we can tend to be attached to habitual ways of being, conditioned ways of being, that blocks this more kind of, what we might describe this emergent state, something that is trying to live through us. And I think it's really important that we find our own mode of expression. So there is no one way to be a Buddhist. I really really passionately want you to know that. I just kind of, please, let's just relax and be fully ourselves, because that's the only way really the Dharmakaya can live. It's not going to live in some kind of role play, some game of kind of being a perfect Buddhist. We have to be holy ourselves and living out of our inspiration, out of our all the kind of uniqueness of our experience, which includes a sense of our own history, our own culture, our own conditioning, because all of those are prisms through which the Dharmakaya is understood and manifested. Those prisms of our history, culture and conditioning are crucial to our unique expression of the Dharmakaya. If we try to kind of avoid that or not take ownership of that whole kind of conditioned nature of our being, then we're kind of chopping off the kind of the guts of the manifestation. So it's really important. I really encourage you to, as far as you can, really explore this sense of your own culture and history, your family of origin, this kind of whole conditioned experience of being here in our particular bodies. And I'll speak later. I passionately want to find the means to end the suppression of our own manifestation. I'm desperate for you and for myself, of course. I'm always speaking to myself. I want to be manifest myself in my fullness, and I'm so tired, exhausted by trying to be a particular way that doesn't quite match or fit who I really am. And I think that's so, I suppose it's social pressure, but I think particularly in our spiritual community, I think we run the risk of trying to look in a particular shape at the expense, at the cost of our own unique manifestation. I like this image because there was a whole load of Buddha images that were dug up in China, and most of them have got this fantastic grin to them. They're just grinning from ear to ear. And I just think there's something really important about that. This kind of sense of manifestation is joyful, is kind of we feel most wholly alive when we're most fully manifesting who we are. And we do that for our own benefit, but also for the benefit of Sangha. This is the enrichment of Sangha comes about by us being fully who we are. Got more words. Okay, I know, Hannah, this is really naughty, but Hannah said, God, I can't bear PowerPoints where people just read off what's on
Sorry.
I forgot this one was in here, to be honest. But I can't avoid this, so I'm just going to have to take it. So bringing presence to our relational life in Sangha really can uncover the processes in which we split off, that we create this sense of self and other. When we start to explore our relational lives, we recognize the edges of this is me, this is not me, this is you over there. But the more that we can really recognize how this is playing out, it's said it's like a magician's illusion. You know, these amazing kind of magicians who create these amazing kind of things you just can't get your head around. How can that be? But once you see it, once it's seen clearly, you can't unsee the trick. And it's the same, I think, with the work that we do to see through this bind of imagining that there is a me and there's a you, there's a them, And the more that we can really recognize that is an illusion, that actually we are deeply interwoven, then the more that we can join in this dance, this interconnected, we are utterly interwoven, interconnected in a field of what I'm describing as the Trikaya. And the more that we can really assimilate and kind of be with that as a felt experience, we can begin to flow unhindered for the benefit of us all. So this is the symbol of the Bhadra, which has always been something that's been very important to me, and I think it holds really the kind of synthesis of the Trikaya. So in the centre of a Bhadra, there's a sphere, and that sphere is actually the Dharmakaya, the non-dual space of the Dharmakaya. And out of that field of potentiality emerges two lotuses. So this second aspect, second part of the symbol is these lotuses sort of blossoming out of the Dharmakaya. So that blossoming has two aspects to it. It has the blossoming of the Sambhogakaya and the blossoming of the Nirmanakaya. So we have this whole kind of range of experiences that we see as the two apparent poles of the Bhadra. But always running through the whole length of the Bhadra, there's a central axis, a physical axis, which is actually wherever we find ourselves, if we simply really drop fully into that experience, it will track us back to the heart of the Bhadra, to the Dharmakaya. So by really looking deeply and fully into our experience, we track back and we can find that open, luminous place of creativity, of spontaneity, and the source of that which wants to live through us. So that is my attempt at trying to say something about the Trikaya, the three bodies of Sangha. Thank you.